There's something about an old, abandoned bridge, something about the stillness, the silence that feels too loud. On February 13th, 2017, two girls stepped onto the Monon High Bridge in Delphi, Indiana. They took a photo of each other, a brief moment captured on Snapchat. But it would be the last time anyone saw them alive. Abby and Libby. Their story doesn't end with their deaths. It was supposed to be a normal afternoon, nothing out of the ordinary, just a walk. They snapped a photo. Abby Williams and Libby German vanished into silence, leaving behind only a clue and a question. Who did this? Libby posts a photo on Snapchat, a snapshot of Abby walking across the Monon High Bridge. It's the last known image of them alive. At 3 p.m., Libby's father, Derek German, arrived to pick up the girls, but they didn't show. He called for them. He searched the area. He tried to reach Libby by phone. But there was no answer. The response was immediate. Before police even arrived, friends, neighbors, and family were already searching, flashlights in hand, walking the trails, scanning every clearing. Local authorities, Delphi Police, the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, the Fire Department, and Indiana DNR mobilized fast. They were residents, people who knew the terrain, people who knew the families. They coordinated the growing crowd of volunteers, organizing searches by foot, deploying drones, and bringing in K-9 units to track anything, a trail, a scent, a footprint in the cold Indiana dirt. Communication was constant. Law enforcement kept the public informed with updates and instructions, directing the search and quelling fear the best they could. They called for state and federal backup. February 14th, 2017. The unthinkable. For years, the case had been stuck on speculation and circumstantial threads, until a single piece of evidence changed everything. When investigators first reached Deer Creek, they knew the bullet was only part of the story. The scene yielded layers of forensic clues that, together, helped paint a fuller picture of what happened. Tiny fragments of cloth and unidentified hairs were collected from the ground and sticks near the bodies. Though no match to Allen was ever publicly confirmed, these trace elements can tie clothing or vehicles to a scene and narrow down potential suspects. Standard protocols meant swabbing for blood, body fluids, and hair, hoping for DNA. None matched Allen, but those samples ruled out other persons of interest and preserved the integrity of the case. Officers documented shoe prints in the soft earth, tire tracks on the trail access road, and even tool marks in the foliage. Each impression offered a glimpse at how the perpetrator moved and worked to conceal the crime. Libby's clothes turned up in a nearby river. Abby was found wearing Libby's jacket, an unsettling swap that suggested confusion or intentional staging. The condition and placement of those garments helped sequence the perpetrator's actions after the attack. Branches and sticks partially covered the girls' bodies. This deliberate attempt to hide the scene spoke volumes about the killer's mindset, an effort to delay discovery, to throw off investigators. Libby's phone, found under Abby, contained the defining proof. We saw the man, later known as the bridge guy, following the girls on the bridge. And then his voice. It was chilling, but also a lifeline. The final moments of Abby and Libby would become the cornerstone of the investigation. But there was more. A witness would later testify about seeing a muddy, bloody man near the trail, matching the description of the suspect. No single piece of evidence tells the whole story, but together, fibers, impressions, clothing, and that final recording, they wove a forensic tapestry strong enough to guide investigators from speculation to indictment. A .40 caliber unspent bullet was recovered between Abby and Libby's bodies. At the Indiana State Police Lab, forensic examiners matched the bullet's unique extractor marks to a pistol owned by Richard Allen. Those tool marks form when a round is chambered and extracted, even if it isn't fired. Allen admitted he'd owned that pistol since 2001 and never loaned it out. Finding a round cycled through his gun at the crime scene placed him in physical proximity to Abby and Libby in those final moments. According to unsealed court filings, this ballistic match, paired with Allen's own statements about being on the trail, revived a stalled investigation. It drove prosecutors to file murder charges in October 2022. On the stand, an Indiana State Police firearms examiner walked jurors through the science, how extractor marks linked that unspent bullet to Allen's weapon. The clarity of that demonstration became a cornerstone of the prosecution's narrative. Unsurprisingly, the defense seized on the bullet's recovery circumstances in its circumstantial nature, arguing it could have been planted or misattributed. But for the jury, the matching tool marks were a powerful physical tether between Allen and the crime. In a case driven by digital clues and desperate searches, it was a single, unfired bullet, silent, unmoved, that spoke the loudest of all. It ignited the charges and set the stage for justice. For the first time, details of the crime scene were revealed during the trial. Libby was found completely naked, her throat cut. Abby was found clothed in Libby's attire, her throat also slashed. Libby's clothes were later discovered in a nearby river. The pathologist testified that a serrated object likely caused the wounds, though the weapon was never identified. In 2022, Richard Allen was arrested. But what truly sealed his fate? His confessions. Allen reportedly confessed to the murders over 60 times, sometimes to his wife, his mother, other inmates, even to law enforcement. He revealed details only the killer could know. It was this, combined with ballistics and witness testimony, that helped piece together the puzzle. Despite all the confessions, the ballistics, and the video, there was no DNA, no physical evidence directly linking Allen to the crime scene. This became a point of contention in the trial, with defense attorneys arguing that the lack of DNA raised reasonable doubt. It was an uncomfortable truth in a case that seemed so clear from every other angle. The pistol, the ballistics, the confessions, all pointed to him. And though the DNA was missing, the circumstantial evidence in his own words made the case impossible to ignore. He was convicted and sentenced to 130 years in prison. But the question remains.